Now you also have a tremendous amount of experience freelancing.
I do.
And freelancing is a very tough world to navigate
It
sometimes.
is,
And I know we've
yeah.
talked about this
Yeah.
before. It's really a commitment because sometimes even your days off, quote
Yeah.
unquote,
Yeah.
are not really days off because you're looking for more work, right? So take us through kind of your experience freelancing in the last, say, 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Maybe when you were first starting out doing it, like how challenging was it? And what were some of these I guess tips you found out that really helped you along?
I started freelancing when I moved back to Taiwan.
Okay.
I was working full time, reporting Taiwan local news in English. And then I moved on to anchoring radio, like 680 kind of thing, like live radio hits.
Right.
But I just wanted to tell stories from Taiwan that weren't being told in English. So I always read articles about, Tokyo this, Shanghai that, Beijing, whatever. But I was like, Taiwan is such an amazing little island and it's a country that I love so much. So I started just digging into it, meeting people, chatting. I'm a big chatter and I just love listening to people's story because I feel like everyone has a really extraordinary story. And it's really tough when you're a young freelancer. So the first big article that I got published was actually in NBC, and it was about artisanal Asian food.
Wow.
So it was like hipster bubble tea and like hipster dumplings.
Nice.
And it was, again, I think a lot of older editors don't know how much impact they make on young writers, but that editor was just able to help me open a lot of doors because you have that NBC brand on it. So I
Right.
continued to work with them. And then as you pitch, I think also they don't teach pitching at school, which is a shame, but it's also kind of like a right of way that you have to make yourself and navigate and like craft your own style of pitching.
Right.
But I was able to use those clips to say, hey, I've written for NBC. I've written for, at that time, Mashable was really hot. Here are my clips.
Right.
This is why I'm capable of writing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just hearing those names as an editor would like immediately
Yeah.
open a door, right?
Yeah.
If they recognize it, if it's that big of a brand or a
Yeah.
company, then come on in.
I think also, it was very cliche when we went to school together. Everyone's like, oh, make sure to leverage your connections. Yeah. And I feel like when you're young, you're afraid to ask for help. But at this point, I think when that was my first time asking my classmate from Columbia, actually, he worked at NBC, and I said, hey, can you give me an intro to this editor? And he was just very generous with it.
Right.
And knowing that many people has helped me in my career, anytime a young journalist asks me, I'm always like, I'm happy to help. This is their contact, or like, do you want me to help me make an intro?
Yeah. I think it's something like people of all ages have trouble with, like admitting they don't know the answer to something.
Yeah.
Where, again, I know this would be kind of like a shocking perspective sometimes, but it actually shows a lot of courage when you say, whether it's in front of your boss or your other coworkers, to say you don't know something, but you want to learn.
Yeah.
You just don't hear about that
Yeah.
often because people are afraid, but it's actually, a sign of courage.